Well, this, again, we believe is the last talk I will have to give on fire signs, because it's a better fit, again, than we've ever had. And because there's this week, in fact, on the 28th, 29th of Elul, which is September 22, 23, 24, it's 22 and 23 really, you have, first of all, a equinox, which is on September 22, but from a Hebrew perspective, actually observing that equinox, you're not going to see it until you see the entirety of the night and the entirety of the day and measure the two and go, oh yes, it's an equinox. I mean, it's on September the 22 at some point, which is the astronomical point when the two are balanced, but to actually observe it, it might be September the 23rd before you can actually confirm it by measuring the length of day and night. And that's coincident with this sign of Revelation 12, where there's a woman with a crown of 12 stars giving birth. And Virgo, the astrological constellation, has Leo stuck on top of it on September 23rd, which has 7 stars, and then there's a whole bunch of lined up planets, and you end up with 12 of them. And then inside the womb, as it were, of Virgo is Jupiter, and Jupiter pops out on September the 23rd, according to the star chart simulation programs. So there is, and quite a few Christian end times outfits see that as the end of the world. It is not the end of the world. It is a birth. And the way God has always dealt with his people is they grow in an environment which is initially friendly and then becomes enslaving and unfriendly. And when God sees that, the people cry out to God, you've got to rescue us from this mess. And God eventually gets them out of the unfriendly, enslaving Egypt via a Passover. And presently his people are well and truly trapped in the Watchtower, which used to be a place of Bible research, but then in the 70s they started throwing out anybody who did any Bible research, and it became an Orwellian parody of the Catholic Church, and they stopped doing research and became a bunch of control freaks only interested in preserving the revenue stream of the congregation and all the rest of their power and physical status. They became a business. False churches are businesses. Their aim is to make money, and true churches are not businesses. Their aim is to make time for their members in the kingdom. I'll give them another 1,000 years. So we're in the business of making time, and nobody's interested in that really. They're all interested in money in this world, but money's running out of time, because time is more valuable, as can be seen from that film Jupiter Rising or something, or Ascending. The Wachowski, who were brothers but became sisters or something in this mad world in which we live. So this new date is Elul the 24th. The reason we go for that date is that it is the 27th Baalian Pentecost from the fall of Laodicea on 2013 Shabbat 1. When the church falls and becomes a false church, the prophets within it become prophets of Baal. And contest in 1 Kings 18 is between prophets of Baal and Elijah. I didn't know whether it would be a Baalian Watchtower Pentecost, counted from when they fell as a true church, or a Baalian Laodicean Pentecost, from when they fell as a true church. We went for Elul 19 originally, because first of all it's 16 times precisely after 9/11, which we thought was really cool. The reason we got that wrong, it is a correct interpretation, it's 16 times, but it's the day not of the big slaughter when the towers fall, but the day of the binding up, the breakdown of God's people, which began not on 9/11 when the towers fell, but on 2001 Heshvan 10, which is when the Watchtower lost its water baptism. That's when the people broke down. You count 16 years from that, you get 2017 Heshvan 10. That is the first entrance day to second Watchtower Passover, and by Heshvan 12 everybody has entered Zoar, but by Heshvan 10 they've all arrived. All 1NC reserves will be at Zoar but not baptized into it by Heshvan 10. That will complete the binding up of the breakdown of the 1NC reserve part of God's people, and that is I think that is finally a correct interpretation of Isaiah 30:25. It's not to do with 16 years between two terrorist attacks, because they're actually separated by 16 years and 5 days. It's 16 years between the loss of water baptism of the Watchtower and all of the 1NCs being in Zoar. They leave after 2,000 peaks from the loss of the Laodicean water baptism, which was 2012 Nisan 11. 2,000 days after that is Tishri 30. So on Tishri 30 they've all the last one leaves, but they don't arrive at Zoar for some reason until Heshvan 10, which is 10 days later. Right, so the reason we're going for Elul 24, as I say, is it's the 27th 50 count in solar days, real days, not counting BLC days where the last 5 to 6 days of Adar overlap with Nisan, but counting actual solar days. So Pentecost is a true weekly Sabbath, 7-day count of actual solar days. So you should count it solar. When you do that, the 27th is from Shabbat 1, 2013, is Elul 24. Now Elul 24 is the 24th day of the 9th year, the 9th old, then Zoar, the new secular year of the kingdom of God. 24th of the 9th of Haggai 2, which is, set your heart on that date. We've set our heart on, I can't tell you how many 24ths of the 9ths, and they've all been wrong. Mainly. And this one, we believe, is the actual 24th day of the 9th secular year. We think that's it. So that is when, before a stone was placed upon a stone, and we haven't done that yet because we haven't got Jesus in the church, so we can't build a temple yet. And it's when the temple is established. I don't really like the idea of establishing it through a fire sign, but regrettably, that's what it takes to establish it. I would prefer to establish it and say it's established when Jesus turns up in it. But to most people, unfortunately, we're unestablished by my inability to do a sign, and we will be established, or re-established actually, when that sign is done. But to people of faith, the sign was always going to be done by the guy trying to do it, because God is not impotent, and if I'm the only one trying to do the sign and the sign has to be done, I will do it, not because I'm any good, but because I'm the only person on the pitch. So that's Haggai. Now also in Haggai it says, it takes a while to get it, it says on the first day of the 6th month, Elul 1, in the second year of Darius the king, which is 2016 Elul 1, because this is his undisputed reign of Jesus after Satan lost the war and was passed over in 2014. So first undisputed reign, or 2015 Nisan 1 begins, 2016 Nisan 1 second undisputed reign. So Elul 1 2016, and it says the word of Jehovah occurred in the hand of Haggai to Zerubbabel and Joshua. That's a hand to two people, that's 2 5s to 10, so that's Elul 11. And then it says, the time has not come, the time for the house of Jehovah for it to be built, which means it be built during a time. And then it says, and the word was occurring to Haggai, was occurring in the hand of Haggai, saying, is this the time to dwell in your panelled houses, whilst this house is desolate? That is a time of being desolate. Now it doesn't begin from Elul 1, 2006 of verse 1, neither does it begin from 10 times after that with the word appearing in two hands. It actually begins on Elul 24 that time, which is referred to in verse 15, where it says, and it was in the 24th day of the 6th, second year of Darius. However, you know what was then? Until you understand, which I haven't until now, that a pay at the end, a letter pay by itself at the end of a series of verses defines the end of an account. When you get that, then you realise that it was on the 24th of the 6th, second year of Darius, applies to the entirety of the section from verse 3 to verse 15, and therefore applies to verse 3. So, 24th day of the 6th month, Elul 24, is when the time to dwell in panelled houses whilst this house is desolate began in 2016, so it ends a time later, in 2017, Elul 24. That's the time to stop messing around in your panelled house and come and build the house that is desolate, which is God's house. And the signal to do that is the second fire sign. But it takes a hand. The word occurred in the hand of Haggai. So it takes 5 days for people to respond to that fire sign and turn up here. So guess when they turn up? Elul 29, which is September 23. So the birth, as a result, what that Virgo sign is, Virgo, Leo, Jupiter sign is all about, Revelation 12, is the birth of people from the watchtower, caused by the sign on Elul 24, and coming into effect, will actually get here on Elul 28, 29, if you want an inclusive or an exclusive hand, of Haggai 2. And this is also referenced to in Daniel 10, where it says on 24th day of the 1st month, which is Elul 24, vision occurs to Daniel. This vision, we now realise, is him seeing the sign and seeing the significance of it, and that somehow establishing this church in his mind. And then it says he's sitting on the hand of the river, which means the side of the river, because the hand is by your side, but a hand again is 5 days. So he remains on the hand of the river and doesn't go into the river until the 29th. So we baptise him on the 29th. He's born out of the watchtower into this church on the 29th. And this is actually the 2 Laodicean spies who come first. That they appear. They may appear on the 28th actually and get baptised on the 29th, but certainly they'll be baptised on the 29th, and the fire sign is the 24th. So those are the reasons, the main reasons for LL24, and this 5 days between then and LL29, the sign that isn't the sign of the end of the world, it's the sign of the beginning of something, the beginning of the true church is what it's a sign for. None of the churches have interpreted except that, because they know it's an end time sign, but they don't quite know which part of the end it's signifying, and it's signifying the birth of Zoar in reasonable numbers, starting with people from the watchtower and others who respond to this sign, maybe from some of these churches who see it as a sign. So we look forward to that. So LL24 is September 1819, which is Monday, Tuesday. We're just in it now. It's just becoming dark here in London. So it's in the next 24 hours there should be a sign. We think it's a UK sign around about Dartford, producing a rising mushroom cloud over the Thames, nuclear sign, a terrorist attack, and then on September 29-30 there's one in New York. It's possible we have that the wrong way around and the New York one is first, but the lightning is supposed to go from the east to the west, so we expect the east to be relatively, which is us, to be lit up first, and then the west to be lit up by another attack second. But we only have one witness to that, so that may be wrong. But either way, there's going to be a terrorist attack in Manhattan or on London, near east of London, near Dartford. And it's going to occur September 1819, which is LL24, and then there is this birth resulting from the spiritual consequences of this fire sign. So the sign part of it will lead to the birth that is predicted in the heavens for September 22, 23, 24, which is the equinox, and which is the Virgo, Leo, Jupiter sign. Thank you.